Welcome back to another episode of Zach's Facts. Today we're going to talk about architecture. Architecture has always been fairly fascinating to me because it's about creativity. Now, the thing is, I don't really consider myself an artist or very creative, but drawing out a design of a dream house or laying out a design of a dream car has always been something I enjoyed doing. I always wanted to be an engineer. Didn't even know what that meant as a kid. And I think what really inspired it was in 8th grade, I believe it was sometime in middle school. A math teacher gave us a very large piece of graph paper. I think it covered multiple desks, and he teamed us up with at least two other students. And we were just told to lay out, draw our dream house. So we, as young guys, we just like, oh, this is my part of the house. That's your part of the house. We just started designing, anything we wanted. A river running through the middle of the house with a glass cover, show what that was. But, as a young kid, it was all about dreaming. But as you got older, I looked at architecture as something that was unattainable because of maybe the degree that was needed, the amount of math and engineering involved. But I ran across a few things here and doing a little bit of quick research that might make this a little more interesting. First, did you know architecture actually used to be an Olympic sport? Yeah, that's right, an Olympic sport. When the modern Olympics first came into being, approximately 151 medals were actually awarded across creative fields such as painting or literature, music, sculpture, and even architecture. The first ever architecture competition took place at the Stockholm Games in 1912. Eugene Edouard Monod and Alphonse Lavalliere were the first ones to bag a gold medal in architecture for a town planning project about a modern stadium. But this stopped actually in 1949. The IOC, or the International Olympic Committee, stated that artists were professionals in their fields and that their participation would not be fair considering that the games were for amateurs. So there you go. If you thought you were the greatest architect in the world, you missed out on your chance to get an Olympic gold medal in it. And a couple other facts I think are pretty interesting is some of the most famous architects don't even have a professional degree. For me, seeing this list, I knew and heard of Frank Lloyd Wright right off the top, being an American architect. Many houses in Beverly Hills and in LA were designed by him, but he didn't even have a degree in architecture. He was just creative enough, put his ideas out there, and he played it up, and somebody else actually applied the engineering to it. And that's what brings up this next quick fact is that not everywhere, and what I was actually reading in India, that math isn't even required to pursue architecture. They leave that to the actual. They're trying to have architecture be really a creative field so that people can pursue those things the way that they want to, put their designs on it, and really not have to worry about it. And let the engineers put the application to use to make it real. Something else I ran across was actually one of the attackers in 9/11 was actually an architect. Mohammed Atta, which was one of the prime perpetrators, one of the names I recognize, that hijacked American Airlines Flight 11. He was actually an architect. He held a degree in architectural engineering from Cairo University. He was one of the highest scoring students and also had a degree in urban planning, which is, to me, quite ironic due to the fact that a lot of their beliefs and what he was doing were backwards. Did you know the video game The Sims was originally developed as an architecture simulator? And now it's one of the most popular video games in history. The co-founder of Maxis, a division of Electronic Arts, was keenly interested in architecture, which led him to design a series of popular games, and SimCity being the first one. And really, that was one of my favorite games growing up, one of the first ones that I really latched onto. And that's what really sparked it for me. And to finish this quick facts up about some architecture is there's some famous architectural blunders that might surprise you. Most people will naturally go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's located in the Italian city of Pisa. It's famous for its unintended tilt to one side. It was a failure on the foundation of the structure. Soil didn't possess the required strength. And another one, which I've actually driven over many, many times, as I do live in Washington State, is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. built in 1940, was an architectural marvel until its failure just 4 months after its construction. The twin suspension bridge failed due to aeroelastic flutter. Basically, a lot of the cables that were involved were trembling as the wind would pass through, and it just started to work on it. It led to what they call blow separation, which in turn caused the structure to collapse and fall into the river. Now, when you go there, you can see that one side is different than the other. And one last one, the Lotus Riverside. It's a 13-story apartment block located in Shanghai, China. Perfectly describes how not to build a high-rise. The failure of the structure led, obviously, to massive losses, but including the death of a worker on the site. The soil was removed from beneath the building to build a garage, but was dumped on adjacent land, and the weight of that soil caused the riverbank to collapse. And so that's why, from what I've read, that some countries, and India in particular, have actually separated architecture and engineering. So as an architecture tries to be creative and tries to do what they want to do, they're not going to get distracted and overambitious and not allow the engineering to function. By having that backup and having an engineer really monitoring and auditing the architecture design, it allows that separation and really not to let an architect's ego possibly get in the way of, hey, I want this design that I came up with to work no matter what. We're going to apply it. And honestly, people would trust them. So having that engineering separation really puts in some accountability. Anyways, that is a quick episode of Zach's Facts about architecture. And it's something, hey, if you're wanting to pursue it, math might not be so much involved anymore. So thank you for joining me one more time for another episode of Zach's Facts.